to Make Your Own Fun. I am here with actress and producer Sarah Schultz. So, welcome back. It's been at least 2 years since you've been on the show. How is everything?
It has been. Thank you for having me back. Things have been good. It's been busy, been crazy. The world just seems to change, and it seems like the years are going by so much faster now. I don't know why.
It's true. It's true. So, I guess we'll cover a little bit of some of the same ground we did last time, just because there might be some people that tuning in for the first time to see you, and
Yeah.
and I know that you've done some projects since the last time we talked on here. So, I guess this is like a really good blanket for everybody. What are
Yeah.
some of the reasons that you guys formed Morehouse Films? Now, was it because you guys weren't getting your own projects off the ground, or there wasn't like enough stuff locally and you had your own stories to tell?
So basically, so Josh is always the brains behind everything, and I'm just kind of there. I'm like the Sherry Moon.
You're
I'm like,
just kind
I'm
of
here.
there.
I'm here to support, you know what I mean? So he's like, we should have a production company. And I was like, that would be pretty cool. And he's like, yeah. And so he came up with Morthouse Films. Funny enough, I was not in the death care field yet. That's my normie job. I was not there yet. So that was a couple years later when I started school for that. So it's basically a place for independent films because I feel like a lot of independent films are so great, but they don't get out there like they should. You see them at festivals. If people can't get them into festivals, they'll put them on YouTube. I've seen really good films not get chosen for festivals. And I'm like, what the heck? So we want Morehouse Films to be that place, like a safe place for them to come, so you can put your film there. So, for example, Witchcast and Dark Web Mystery Box by Tony Newton, those were both shot during isolation, COVID, the great times. And we worked with him and we put his films on those on our channel. And it's like, oh, so now more people are seeing it. So it's kind of like a safe place for indie films.
Very cool, very cool. So,
Yeah.
and I know you guys are there in Arizona, so how do you feel like you've been able to use like the sparse landscape and kind of make Arizona and the desert kind of like to work it toward your benefit for like the stories that you want to tell? So when you're out there like um location shooting, are you like of the mind of like, well, this is where we are, this is what we have to work with. So, I guess just let the folks know, like how you're kind of like, how Arizona is like a part of, everything you're working on.
Yeah. So, yes, it's hot in the summer, and then around, I would say late October is when it kind of cools down for maybe a month or two. So there's a lot of films that are shot out here around that time outside. People take advantage of that. We have a very large acting community out here. A lot of great people. We're all tight knit, and we all have worked together at least once at some point. So, for example, Josh and I and Chloe, actually, our daughter, we did a commercial, not of our own, but for someone else at Amy's Animal Farm and Sanctuary, where we volunteer. And it was hot, but they're like, we need like a sanctuary farm type of scene. And I'm like, perfect. I know where we can go. And so going there, even though it was hot, it was literally exactly what they wanted. And then, you want to shoot a scary movie like The Hills Have Eyes kind of movie. Easy, go down the road. There's literally mountains everywhere. It's spooky, especially at night. It gets creepy. And it's a lot cooler at night in the desert, which is great. But it's just that land, and it's just like never ending. And if I think of like movies where there's someone stuck in the desert and they're like, oh, I'm so thirsty, and then they see the mirage of water and they get there and it's not there.
Oh, yeah.
Take it. Yeah, it's like that. Like you could totally take advantage of this landscape, or if you want to, you can go up north. You can go to Flagstaff or Payson, Arizona. It's green and foresty, and snows in the winter. It's so random.
You
It's
get a little bit of everything.
pretty
Um,
much.
Talking about, isolation and COVID and everything like that, how
Mhm.
would you say like streaming and like the everyday use of cell phones has like helped or hurt your projects?
So I have seen people use cell phones for movies and stuff, and I get it. Like if you don't have that kind of equipment, what are you gonna do? Honestly. And so I can't judge. I'm just like, you know what, you're passionate, you want to do this, use your phone. But and it's hard because it's like, what if it's not a really great phone? Like I'm a Droid user, and a lot of people are Apple, and Apple phones are really great with pictures and stuff, but I think it really just depends on who is shooting it. So I feel like if you want to do this project and you only have a phone, you can make it work if you want to do it for sure. But then there's some people who have actual camera equipment in their home, which we're lucky enough because Josh's normie job is shooting commercials. So we have that advantage and it's great. And but I feel like anyone can shoot a movie in their home now. But do you really want to? Is the
Well,
question.
like I would say, because I use that to great benefit to get some stuff into festivals that I made just because it was like you couldn't go out anywhere, you couldn't go and rent equipment, and
Yep.
people were so anxious to work on something and they didn't really
Yeah.
know. And so like I did you probably saw I did like a whole like murder mystery with like a Zoom chat and cell
I
phones. So
loved that.
people can just, film themselves. And so I've
Yeah.
still used that because so many, I know we're going to sound so old, right? But so many people younger than us, like
Hmm.
this is just like all they know and they
Yeah.
get down into it. And so I thought like, well, they're already looking at their phones. Why not gear something, especially for like a short film that's like under 10 minutes,
Yeah.
geared toward them anyway, and like that short attention span. So
Absolutely.
speaking of short attention spans,
Uh-huh.
you have a budding young actress in your family named Chloe, and I'd
Yes.
like to hear a little bit about her journey and also the short film Blood on the Family.
Yeah, so she wanted to get into acting. As she's getting older, she's realizing what she wants to do or testing the waters. I remember being that age. Oh, I want to do this and this, and I'm not doing those things. So she's testing the water. So she is taking acting classes currently with an actress. Her name's Natalie Spurlman. She's based out of California, but she's here right now, and she's really great. She's been in a lot of stuff. So she sees her once a week, and she's improving, and she'll send me little report cards, videos of Chloe, and I'm like, wow, she's doing really great. So Chloe was actually cast for this commercial we shot at the sanctuary. It hasn't been released yet, so of course we can't talk about it, but I know it was like hush hush, but she loved it, she enjoyed it. She was really great at taking direction. I think it was helpful that we were there too, because we were a family in the commercial, so it was easy for her. So she did really great. And then she did have a she did have an audition. She did really good, but she didn't get chosen, but she was in the top 3 out of 300. So she was really hype about that. But I told her, you're not always going to land that part. It's hard. It's really hard. So you just have to brush it off, move on. But no, you did well. So with Blood on the Family, Logan Hamby, a director based out of Texas, he emailed me and he's like, hey, I got the script and I actually wrote it for Chloe. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. He's like, but of course, you guys are involved, being her parents. So if you could shoot this, and we are shooting it here at home because it is based in a house. And I'm just like, that's fine. I don't mind shooting at home. I'm totally,
Yeah,
totally
makes
fine
it
with
like less
it.
drive time, right?
It does, definitely. And we're not like in 112-degree weather. So that's helpful. So he wrote it for her. She's the lead. She's the star. It's called Blood on the Family. It's based on a Gig of the Dead anthology. It's just like a bunch of short films he's putting together, and it's all zombie based. So she's the hero in the movie.
Very
Um,
cool.
yeah, so she's really excited to do that. She read the script. She's like, this is so cool. And then when we started shooting it, she's like, this is kind of scary. And I was like, well, we're acting, because Josh is over here like, raw. And she's like, oh my God, Dad. And I'm like, no, it's fine. It's just acting. So he showed her like, here's the fake blood. I'm gonna make it and all that. So she's really excited. She's doing really well. She has a lot of lines and she's overwhelmed. And I'm like, you're the lead and it's okay. Just take your time with it. So this is like her first actual film she's doing. So she's super excited.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I imagine because she's around you and Josh all the time, so she sees and hears you guys talking about all these things and
Hmm.
pictures, and you're looking through footage that you shot of fake blood and fake
Yeah.
appendages and knives and guns and vampire teeth and bruises
Yes.
and all pratfalls and all this crazy stuff that you guys are doing after night, that she's just used to it.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing is
Hmm.
she sees your enthusiasm. You know what I mean?
Yes.
She's like, well, they love it. And you know what? You know more than anybody being involved in a project and being on a set. Like
Hmm.
enthusiasm is contagious. Like that's the best contagious thing that you want is people just like, oh, I can't wait to go again and fall in this, pool of blood and get up and be like,
Yes.
and then like, the what do you say that the temptation is to wipe. I was like, don't wipe the blood off your face. It looks so cool.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, when during COVID when we were shooting like dark web and then when we were shooting Witchcast, she would kind of peek in and see what we were doing and she would hear the screams and then she's like, "Well, now it's just normal. It's fine." And I'm like, "Yeah," or she'll watch something and she's like, "I can't believe you did that to Dad." And I'm like, "I'm sorry." And she'll be mad at me and I'm like, "It's just acting."
Try to explain it's a character. I'm not being mom right now.
Yeah,
Like, I'll make it
exactly.
up to dad. We'll go out for ice cream later.
Seriously. Like it'll be
She's
fine, I
like,
promise.
yeah,
Right,
you're so
exactly.
mean. Well,
I
like,
know.
well, and let me tell you this as like an example. Like, so I was able to get my daughter a little cameo in Body Count when we were filming that a couple
Oh,
years
I love
ago,
that.
and she got to play a vampire and stuff. But it's like
Oh,
her seeing me like work on like a script. She's just like, whatever, and back into the phone, or me
yeah.
talking about it, or taking pictures, or talking to people about, costumes and, the special effects, makeup and stuff. She's like, whatever. But then when I try to explain to her, I'm like, we're gonna go to like a studio. I mean, we're gonna
Hmm.
get a costume, you're gonna have like makeup and, prosthetic teeth and stuff. And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, you're gonna go to a place and we're gonna
Hmm.
film it. And she's just like, but you're not famous. You're not like some, and I'm like, and it's like, especially at the time, I think she was like maybe 13. So she knew
Hmm.
about movies and like stuff was fake, but it's like, but you're my dad and you're just like lame or whatever. Like you don't do things that are cool. And it's like they don't understand that like
Mm-mm.
when they go to bed, that's when you're like working on stuff and you're
Oh
sending out the
yeah.
emails and you're sending pictures. And when they're not there, that's when you're like making the calls and you're talking about stuff. So when she went
Yep.
there, she was like
Like
she couldn't believe it was
wow.
like in a real warehouse that we're filming this location, and she was just like, and when she got to meet Julie Hapney, and she got to get all the makeup on and like little as like stages the makeup
That's
are put
so
on,
cool.
she was just like this is like real, and I look like a vampire, and I'm like, yeah,
Yep.
that's what, and she's like, what? And then she's like, and then like she was kind of worried, and then toward the end of the day, when some of the other actors were talking to her, they were like, "So you're gonna tell all your friends at school at the lunch table?" And she's like, "Oh yeah."
For sure.
So
I
has your
love
daughter done any of
that.
that kind of stuff? Has she been like talking about like talking to kids at school about kind of like what she's doing, and like they're like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
you're making a movie," like that kind of stuff,
Yeah, they're like, "What? Really?" And she's like,
like the record scratch.
"Yeah."
They're like, "But you're just this normal kid," and you're like, "Yeah, but my parents are pretty cool."
Yeah. Yes, I know. I'm like, I hope she says we're cool.
I
Uh
know, I know. Like everything else we do, they're just like, But it's
They're
like
like,
kids want that final product. You know what I mean?
yes,
They're gonna watch, sit down and watch something on streaming and see like the 90-minute movie. Everything that goes
yeah.
into it, they're just like, uh-huh.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, like, okay. Oh, you have to like work. Oh, that sucks.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so late now. Um,
I'm so tired.
all right, so let's throw this out there. This is always a fun one. We probably covered this last time, but I want to see if some of your answers have changed. So,
Okay.
what are three of your favorite kind of horror movies? Maybe they
So
changed. Yeah.
I feel like they have changed. Number one is Scream, the
The first
original
one?
Scream. Yes, the very first one. Love it. It never gets old. I can watch it once a week. It's like my comfort film. Bad day, put on Scream. Doing laundry, put on Scream. It's my favorite. I freaking love that movie so
So
much.
great.
It's number one. Yeah. And then number two would be Jaws. I love Jaws. That was my first scary movie as a kid, watching it. And my grandma was like, that's the only scary movie you can watch right now at your age. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, big scary shark in the water,
I
I'm like,
know, and the thing is, like,
perfect.
great white sharks are real. So as a kid, you're just like,
I know. I'm
you
like, and then I'm so young. I'm like, ooh, I don't want to get in that pool
don't want to go in
when
the
he's
pool. You
in
don't even want to go in
there.
the kiddie pool. You're like, there's one,
No,
maybe a giant shark that's going to come out of the kiddie pool. I'm like, oh.
seriously, yes. And yeah, I remember that. I'm like, what if he comes out of the drain, like in the shower? Like it was just, and it was ridiculous. Good thing I didn't see it. I was
Bathtub? Oh
like,
my God, yeah.
yeah, it was just ridiculous. Um, and then I would say my third would be let's go with the Devil's Rejects.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I don't think I added that on last time, but yeah.
Very
I was more of
cool.
a house person at first, and now I'm like Devil's Rejects. The Devil's Rejects era.
But it's
We'll go
funny,
with
like our
that.
tastes just change over time. Like
They
I was gonna
do.
say, like three of my favorites, and they always change. And you already mentioned Jaws, so I've got in there. And
Yes.
another older one that I love is the John Carpenter version of The Thing.
Oh yeah, that's a
The
good
prequel
movie.
was cool, but man, and the acting was great. But I was like, man, some of that CGI, when it cuts to CGI, you're just out of it
You can tell,
because
yeah.
those practical effects were so cool. But here's a recent one
Yeah.
that, like, I was shocked, not because it was scary and good, but because the story was so great and it blew everybody away. And I had such a hell of a time trying to convince people to go because it was in Japanese, which was Godzilla minus one.
That's
And
so
people were just
awesome.
like, no, I'm like, you like the story is so good. Like you gotta go. And like it
Yeah.
shows Godzilla like how he like became like this big giant monster. And people were like,
Oh,
and I'm like, it's so, and the music is so good in that movie.
oh my
So, all
gosh.
right. So let's add on to that and let's say, what are three upcoming horror movies coming out in the theater this year that haven't been released yet that you're looking forward to?
Oh my gosh. What in the world? Um, you know, I don't even honestly, I have no idea what's even coming
I
out.
could give you my three and then maybe that'll.
Tell me.
Okay,
Tell
so
me.
like literally later today after I do my laundry, I'm gonna go see A Quiet Place Day One.
Ooh,
That's coming out
okay.
this weekend. So
Okay,
I
yes.
love those movies.
Yes.
And then
Those are
you
good.
and I both know somebody who has a big, huge movie coming out in October, Terrifier 3.
Yes.
Even though I gotta say, because when I talked to David a couple years ago before Terrifier 2 came out, and he was
Yeah.
just like, there's some stuff in this movie where I'm like, are we really gonna, oh, that's doing a lot, David, are we really gonna, Damon, are we gonna do this? And then he was like, and then I've seen interviews with him for the third one. He's like, some stuff in
The
this movie where
same.
like the last one's gonna look tame, and I'm just like,
You're like, wait, I know,
I
because that
remember going to see
second
Terrifier
one.
2 in the theater, and people were just like, "Huh!"
Yeah.
And it was that movie. That's what was so great about it because it got all that press for being like the movie you might not be able to make it through.
Yes. Yeah, and I remember sitting there watching it in the theater too, and I'm like, oh, what? Like my eyes were just bulging out. I was so dramatic. I was like, oh my God, what is this? This is crazy. So the third one, like, I don't even
I'll probably have
know.
to go in there with like a popcorn bucket and then just like an empty bucket just in case.
Just
But
in
that's
case.
I think how much we're helping them sell that just by saying that, where it's like it has
Yeah.
that visceral thing. And I thought that that second one, like it just improved everything on the first one.
Yep.
The lead actress that they brought in, she was great because
She's so
he
sweet.
kind of needed that foil. And I thought
Yeah.
that that's probably going to continue in the next one. But
Oh,
kudos to them
definitely.
because like that is like the one of the best success stories for that first movie. Like almost had no budget. The second one had a bigger budget. And,
Yeah.
like he was saying, like in interviews, like in USA Today, he's like, okay,
Yeah, he's just like shocked. And I'm like, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
yeah.
So I'm so glad.
And then this one, I'm so freaking excited about, and I gotta say, because it's so weird for me, living in the South now, and so when people see certain trailers and movie theaters, they're just like, oh, oh, they get like their feathers ruffled and stuff. They're like,
They
what?
do.
So this is coming out Christmas. This is coming out Christmas Day, okay?
Uh-huh.
Robert Eggers' Nosferatu.
Yes.
And I saw the trailer and I was like,
Yes.
oh my God. Like it's got that thing that I love in those gothic horror movies where it's like you think you see something out of the corner of your eye and you're not sure. And then you're like, am I imagining it? And then,
Yep.
oh my God, it's gonna be so good. I don't know if you've seen his other movies, but like
That's
the Witch, the
amazing.
Lighthouse, the Northman.
Yes. Oh my God. I love The Witch.
Yeah.
I love that movie so
And that's
much.
the first thing I think I ever saw Anya Taylor-Joy in, and I was like,
Me too.
this lady is
Great.
she's taken
Yeah,
on.
and it's so weird because she was so young, and then seeing her grow up, I was like, you grow up really fast. And then I'm like, this is when I go back to the years are going by really fast because you're not supposed to
You're
be that
like,
old
wait a
right
minute, she's
now.
playing moms now? Like,
I know. I'm like, hold on, let's chill.
I don't know if you've seen Furiosa. She's amazing in that.
No, I don't think
And
so.
Chris Hemsworth is a really fun villain. He's a
That's so
complete asshole
awesome.
shithead, but he is so
Love it.
good in playing
He's
that.
so
You can
good at
tell he
it.
just had like so much fun being an asshole.
Oh, yes.
So let's build on that and let me ask you, because I mean, we might have different opinions about this stuff and maybe things have changed. So
Mhm.
when it comes to horror movies, are you more like stabby, stab, stab, buckets of blood, or are you more like getting into like a world building like atmosphere trapped in some weird place kind of thing?
I like the stabby stab. The slasher, the
I
bucket.
gotcha.
Yeah.
I,
So, sometimes I'm like, whoa, that's a lot, but then I just can't stop watching.
I know. Like for me, like as a writer, like I don't know if I could do write something like Terrifier because I think I would just get through it and be like, yeah, I kind of want to eat later. I should
I
probably.
know.
I'm like, but yeah,
Gonna
it's
lose
like
your
you put it in your
appetite.
mind, like it's fake, and that those are fake entrails and links of sausage they're pulling out of a big bloody vat of supposed to be somebody's
Oh my
stomach. But
gosh.
like I
Yes.
love though the other side of it where it's like they kind of create this whole world. And I love atmosphere and tension too, where it's
Oh
like you
yeah.
might not see knives, you might not see blood, but the entire like 90 minutes or 100 hour and 45 minutes, the people are just like this tension, this
Yeah.
claustrophobic tension. Like I don't know if you saw the Watchers with Dakota Fanning that just came out.
Yes. Yes.
Man, like that movie, like a couple took a few minutes to get started, but once they went to
Yeah.
just like again, like you can't go wrong with creepy dark forest. But
Right.
once they were
Absolutely.
there, I was like, yeah, that movie kind of writes itself because if you can get a
Yes.
character like that of like this old forest where this just constantly has fog, I'm like,
That's so
where do we go
awesome.
around here to film? I think they filmed that in Ireland. I'm like, where do we go around here to make something like that where it's just like that thing of like you look and you think you see like a hand coming from behind a tree and you turn around and you're just like,
And then there's
because it's
nothing
that thing of
there.
like we put ourselves in that character's position where we're like, oh, she's fucked. But
For
they're just
sure.
the whatever it is in the forest is just like playing with her, toying with her.
Oh yeah.
And then I didn't even know until the end of the movie that is the first movie that is directed by M. Night Shyamalan's daughter.
Really?
And so I guess he really like, helped her out with
Oh
setting
wow.
mood and, the sets and everything. And I
That's so
mean,
cool.
yeah, she knocked it out of the park. I thought she did great. And I guess it's based on a series of books, so maybe there'll be more. But
Yeah, that's so cool.
so let me ask you this. So when dealing with your own projects, this is something that I have an issue with too, and I think it's just from being a creative person.
Hmm.
When you're when you're trying to talk to somebody about something that's like just in like an idea phase, or maybe you're talking about like Josh doing a rough cut or something, and you're trying to explain it to somebody, whether they're just like maybe they're not even like gonna be involved, but you're just like
Yeah.
whoever this person is, you're like, oh my God, and then this thing, and then it's gonna be, and they're like, well, how does that connect to that? Well, we don't have that part done yet, but it's gonna be like this thing, and there's gonna be like this like gargoyle, right? But then like the mailman, and then this guy playing the mailman, he was like the second lead in this like infomercial, and they're like, what the fuck are you
What?
talking about? So have you had conversations with people that maybe aren't even creative? They're trying to explain like something that's in progress, or like they're like, Sarah, what did you do this weekend? And you're like, girl. Well,
Yes.
let me hear it. I gotta hear
Oh
this.
my God. That is so funny. Yes. Okay. Yes. So there are people like, at work, like, so how was your weekend? And I'm like, oh my God, it was so great. So Chloe got a lead in a movie and we're filming it at home and it's zombie based. And it's like, so the girl I work with, okay, she's so cool. And so she just listens. She goes, wow, that is so cool, you know? But like if I was at my last job, they would be like, oh, well, that's interesting. I went to the store, you know?
Oh
And
man,
and
yeah.
I'm just like, oh, and I'm like, do I sound like I'm bragging? And
I
I'm like,
think maybe like that's interesting is like the southern version of like bless her heart,
it is.
which is
I
like a
yes,
polite like fuck you. They're like,
yeah.
oh, you're doing that? That's great. Bless your heart. Anyway, did you know the zucchinis are on sale? Like, listen, Betsy, fuck the zucchinis, okay? This is important. We're making art here. And they're like, right, that's so great, Sarah.
Seriously. Yes, I'm like, I can't right now. Like previous jobs are just like, oh wow. Ooh, your daughter's involved in that? But then the girl I work with now is like, that is so cool. I don't like she's like barely watches movies, honestly. But
No,
she's
yeah.
just so like, wow, that is so cool. And I'm like, I love you. You're amazing. You're the
There's
best
some people where
roommate.
you're trying to explain, like I said, something in progress where you're like, dude, you have no idea. And like the chainsaw wasn't working. We had to like
Yeah.
rethread it. It fucking stuck. We didn't know there was like a metal fence growing through the tree. Fucked up and then we had to like chase this kid down the street, and the kid was like
Yes.
crying. And then you're like, you were doing what now?
The
At
blood
3 a.m. on
spilled.
like a Sunday morning, and like,
Seriously.
and they're like, I, okay,
Have fun with that. I'm like, man, I'm tired today. And I still have fake blood on my face. God, it was a long
and
night.
they're like, Sarah, and you're like, oh, it's okay, it's not my
It's
blood. And they're like,
minty. It's minty.
oh,
It's fine. It's
like,
fine.
why is it not your blood?
It's
Uh,
fake.
all right, so I need to know, well, let the folks know kind of, what's going on with Grave Dirt Clothing, that imprint you guys have. That's awesome.
Yeah, so Grave Dirt Clothing has been around for several years now. That's our other baby besides Mort House, and we sell slasher, mashup merchandise, true crime. Um, we did have hot sauce for a while, which we might bring back. That was kind of a big thing. Everyone
Hot
loved
sauce?
hot sauce. Yeah, it was called Wicked Hot, and
Did it have like a witch on it? And she was like,
it was Josh as a cartoon.
oh,
And he
cool.
Yes, his beard is all fiery. And yeah, and it was hot. It was good, but it was freaking hot. But
On
so
a
people
scale
would
of
use
one to
it.
10, was it like discomfort to burning you a new asshole?
A new asshole. Check
And
out this.
you willingly put that in your chili or on your whatever.
Your tacos. We did it for tacos. We did a hot sauce challenge. We were both sweating, but Josh was the worst. Went to bed that night. His
No.
no, check this out. His phone, he didn't lay it on the nightstand. He just plugged it in, laid it on the bed. Woke up drenched. His phone battery blew up. Yeah, I was
Was it
like,
like
this
him
is
holding it or what?
it was no, he rolled over on it and slept on it, and it blew up, and it was like spicy. It was like you could feel it on the phone. I'm like, you need a new cell phone. I'm like, this is dangerous stuff. And people were
You're like,
like,
you're gonna kill
oh, it's so
yourself. Like it
good.
reminds me of those gifs where you see like somebody just being like, a night after Taco Bell, and it just shows them going like closing a door and then the room just explodes.
Yes.
You're like, dude, maybe you don't want to blow out your colon.
No, it was serious stuff, but
He's
holy
like,
cow.
no, it's so good. It's going to be a great seller. Anyway, can you
Yes.
pass me honey, can you pass me the fire hydrant?
Seriously, he drank so much milk. He grabbed ice cream. He was just he had more than me. I stopped. I was like, that's my limit. I'm done. But we were doing it for a hot sauce challenge and it was live and everyone's like, yeah, and I'm just like, oh, I can't do it anymore. I can't. So we haven't
Meanwhile, his like intestines have been pooped out of his body, and he's just like, I can have
seriously,
one more super fire atomic hot wing, and they're like, Josh, no, there's no more.
no more.
Like
We're
whatever was
done.
in you is out of you now. So
Yes. Yeah, like we're done. Yeah. We haven't had the hot sauce in a while. We have had people ask, like, hey, you should bring it back. And I'm just like, we might, but not eating it. I'm not gonna
yeah,
eat it. I
selling it is one
can't.
thing.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, but we have a lot of merchandise. I have some posters on there as well. We have a huge sale going on. There's some Scout Taylor Compton prints on there. We have Spawn Ranch soil from our trip to California. We gathered. Josh found Spawn Ranch and it's literally grown over.
Mhm.
People use it as a walking path or riding their bikes. And I'm like, do you know where you are?
And they're like,
Like, this is Charles Manson's home. What are we doing? And they're just all, I'm walking my dog. Um, we have so much merchandise. It's ridiculous. New drops. We have Zodiac Killer backpacks, speakers. It's crazy. So yeah, it's support family business. It's really cool all the stuff we have. Yeah,
that's
check it
so
out.
great. All right, well, people want to know kind of what you guys are working on and what is next for Morehouse Films.
So right now, Blood on the Family. We are in the process of shooting that. That's new. Um, gotta get things off the ground with that. And then we have, can I talk about the phone in the door?
You can talk about whatever you want to
Okay.
talk about.
So your movie, The Phone in the Door, that would be honestly on our own, our first feature length film, like
Oh, you're
film,
gonna make it
because
into a feature?
we're used to shorts and we're used to, or like, hey, you're chosen for this role, go on set, let's get moving. So this would be like our first like actual film on our own, like just it would be our first one. So it's big. So Josh is like, it's got to be good. And he goes, Rob Zombie took X amount of years to make this movie, so we're gonna take our time with this. And I'm like, okay. He goes, we need to get the right people. We're not just gonna throw something together. And I'm like, okay, because I was like, this movie you wrote is amazing, Phone in the
Oh,
Door,
thank
and
you.
I I'm like, I'm the lead in this. I am the girl. I am going to be the lead in this
You
movie.
were
And
like,
it's,
damn it.
I know, and I don't want to give too much away, but it's like, but for the public, I don't want to give too much away because they'd be like, oh, that's a great idea. you
And
know,
they're like, tell me more.
I'm going to shoot this first.
Yeah. So
But
I
it's,
guess, what's crazy is I'll just say that when I had you on the podcast, oh my God, what was it, 2.5 years ago?
I think it was, yeah.
And I think we had just talked about that I was working on something with Jen Nangle, and
Yeah.
you were saying that you guys were looking for scripts, and I was like, I have something. And then you were like, but I'm looking for it to be like, female lead and this and that. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
well, and then I think I sent you something, and I was like, well, I think I need to rewrite it. And I sent you, and then you're like, that's it. Don't change anything. Like, that's what I
Yeah.
was like,
Yes. Yes. And my favorite subject, serial killers. So it's got that thrown in there, psychological twist. It's
and I
just
love that,
perfect.
like, you guys can film it in Arizona. I
Mhm.
won't say the location, but like, you could film
Yeah.
it there, and that you could probably do the whole thing in like maybe a
Yeah.
weekend, maybe a week. It's up to you, like how much stuff you want to put into it. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really excited.
kids could
I
be
love
there in the
it.
background, just like getting something out of the vending machine, looking down the hall.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, what are they doing? Oh, it's just our weekend. It's fine.
Like how you're like I always say with Jan, it's like, it's okay, it's not my blood.
Yeah, it's not
Or like,
mine.
oh, and then they're like, whoa, 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 why is it not your blood? Like, what's going on?
It's so great.
So as we wrap it up here, where can people find your work online? And I know there's websites for Morehouse, so I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah. So on YouTube, you can subscribe to us, Morthouse Films. We also have a Facebook page and Instagram, obviously the same name, Morthouse Films. Grave Dirt Clothing, same on Instagram and Facebook. And then you can find me on Instagram at Jessica Stabbit Official _ 666. You can find me on Facebook as Jessica Stabbit and Sarah Schultz. Same for Josh Schultz. And then on Instagram, The Wicked One. So,
Do you guys
yeah.
have a website for Morehouse? Is it like morehousefilms.com or anything like that?
He's in the process of building
Oh,
that
okay.
right now. Yeah, he's redoing it.
Would you
So,
like me to like funnel people more into like the YouTube for Morehouse? Like that be
yeah,
like
for
the
sure.
first stop? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Cool. Cool.
absolutely.
Well, I'm going to wrap it up here and say thank you so much for coming on the show. I'd like to hear
Thank you.
your great stories about people burning up their innards with hot sauce. And
It's so great.
you
So
know that's
great.
going to have to be like something you guys are going to post on your website or something where you're going to be like, Josh, honey, I love you. Please stop. Just like, he's like, you know, I can't stop.
I know. It's so good. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. No, it's always a pleasure coming on your show. I absolutely love coming on your show.
Thank you.
I am
We love
always
it so
down,
much, you know.
always down.
All right. Well, nothing but the best. I wait with bated breath to see how the short's going to turn out. And I'm rooting for Chloe. I'm on the sidelines with my pom poms cheering
Oh,
for
thank
her. So
you.
awesome. And tell Josh I said hi, and you
I
guys
will.
have a wonderful weekend.
Yes, you too. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Bye now.
Bye.